Welcome back everyone dito sa latest episode ng Pilipinas 360 Degrees. Medyo na-conscious na ako because I was thinking about getting things exactly right when it comes to the data and all of that. Let me make it clear dun sa ating mga kababayan from Mindanao that my sincere apologies if anyone was inadvertently hurt by me mentioning certain comparison when it comes to Human Development Index. Klaruin po natin, Human Development Index refers to a combination of different indicators of development. Kasama po dyan, life expectancy, so yung healthcare system mo, kasama po dyan yung education standards, so kasama din dyan, of course, yung income levels. So it's a composite. In fact, there are many different versions of HDI that we can talk about. Multidimensional assessment po ito ng living standards in a particular place. Now, let's not forget, I only had 30 seconds on CNN International. I was asked by Becky Anderson, bakit napaka-popular ni Digong sa Mindanao or at least in parts of the country? Of course, maraming dahilan yan. But as I said, at least one of the reasons had to do with the fact na yung issue ng federalism has a lot of appeal in Mindanao. Why? Because people in Mindanao have legitimate grievances against injustices. Totoo po yan na pinabayaan ng Mindanao ang national government natin. Worse, during the dictatorship era, we had a massive war there that created a lot of destruction. And more recently, yung Marawi War naman. So because of that, actually, if you look at the data, the Human Development Index in a lot of provinces in Mindanao is comparable to certain regions of the world. And in the same way that I said, Benguet province where I come from, yes, hindi ito sub-Europe or Southern Europe, but Benguet has a zero point 0.9 HDI, and that's comparable to countries like Chile or Croatia. Now, obviously, had I had 2 hours on CNN to discuss Human Development Index, I would go barangay by barangay, city by city, etc. But that was not what the interview was all about. Having said that, of course, it is important to be very sensitive to anything that could reinforce false or negative stereotypes. At yung concern ko pa kasi dyan is baka inadvertently, we may have contributed to that, and that's why I make this apology. But let me make this clear. I am also not happy with all of these stereotypical attacks on Africa. A lot of way people are coping or responding dito sa whole sub-Sahara HDI brouhaha is actually to make quite racist, deplorable portrayal of Africans. In fact, if you look at the data, it's absolutely clear. There are many sub-Saharan African countries. When I say sub-Saharan Africa, meaning hindi kasama yung North Africa at yung Sahara Desert, right? Just use your brain. Andyan lang yan. Geography lang po yan. Ayan naman tayo. I'm a teacher. I care, but sometimes, diba, if you look at it, for instance, Seychelles has a zero point 0.8. It's a very high human development index country. If you look at Mauritius, Libya, Algeria, Tunisia, Egypt, South Africa, Botswana, of course, some of them are North Africa, but some of them are sub-Saharan Africa. If you look at Gabon, Cape Verde, Equatorial Guinea, there are a lot of countries there actually, which are actually either high development or high or medium, which is very comparable to a lot of our provinces in the southern parts of the country. So, yes, I understand na baka nakita ng tao, baka parang nilalait sila. But that's not what we meant. What I meant, guys, is we have a great development gap and we have to close that. It was a clarion call to deal with those sources of grievance. And yes, it is true. The Solid South phenomenon is because Duterte is seen as a champion of Mindanao. He's the first president from Mindanao. Naintindihan ko yan. He is the son of Mindanao. But klaroin din natin, the memes that were made out of me at my expense, and the hundreds of death threats I've been getting over the past week, and the thousands and thousands of insults and below the belt stuff I've been getting over the past week or so. Well, thank you for the engagement. But joking aside, that was based on a distorted misinformation campaign. Clear talaga na there were people who were watching me and they were trying to find any little mistake or any little digression or any little aside and make something out of that. Why? Because I didn't have one, two, I had 12, 15, 24 different international interviews and all on the ICC issue and showing why, well, Duterte, well, he really had a reason to be in the ICC. So I'm sure maraming galit sa akin because of that, and they were trying to really find something there and really make something out of that. So doon sa mga politiko who are trying to use this for their own political purposes, nakita ko yung iba nga may plunder charges pa laban sa kanila at nagmamaganda ngayon. Doon sa mga ibang syudad na pinapersona non grata tayo, pati si General Torre rin yata, Guys, come on. We have to deal with these injustices. We have to work together. And kasama dyan is to also getting rid of trapos, including trapos here in Metro Manila, trapos, well, Baguio, medyo magaling mayor namin eh. But trapos, they're also in Mindanao and warlords, but also national government neglect of Mindanao. We have to look at that. In fact, if you look at the data, a lot of our LGUs in different parts of the country, including the southern parts of the country, they still rely on fiscal transfers or from revenues from here in National Capital Region. It doesn't mean na Southern Europe kami or social kami. By the way, I was referring to Benguet Province, Baguio, where I'm coming from, not to Metro Manila. So please also stop with all that pagpag, attacks. It actually shows your prejudice against the poor Filipinos. So interesting. One thing I saw with all of this is apparently ang daming tao na sensitive. So sure, I'll make sure next time I don't make any comparison, even if it's based on actual human development index data. Yes, I understand the sensitivity, but what I cannot accept is also the stereotypical racist attacks on Africans. And also, what I cannot accept is itong mga very class-based, feudalistic attack on dun sa mga ating mga kabayan na mahihirap dito sa Metro Manila who rely on pagpag. So sana naman next time, before becoming emotional or just looking at some meme with my face there, napansin ko nga talagang medyo walang iya eh. Nakita ko talaga operation ito eh. So first of all, there's these memes, only my coat and my face was there. Obviously, it's called rage baiting. It was really designed to rage bait, meaning to make people angry at a specific person by taking that person's words or interventions out of context, not to mention my intention. I'll tell you what, yung mga nagsasabi sa akin, meron yatang isang counselor or something, hinahamon ako to go there and see Mindanao. Hello! Hello! I've been to Marawi right after the war. I've talked to people there. Hello, I've been to Davao. We even talk in Ateneo de Davao. Hello, I've been to Jensan during the beautiful, their tuna festival. And of course, my beloved place, Siargao, which I believe is even nicer than, no offense, Ibiza and Bali, I would say, right? I've been to Mindanao and I know my numbers. I know my numbers. I study these things. I do this as a scholar. All right? May mga nagsabi kasi, Richard, ba't nagyayabang ka ng scholar, Google Scholar citation and all? Well, because people are questioning my credibility with those numbers. And I want to remind these people, last time I checked, between the two of us, seeing my publications. Now, I know this comes off as arrogant or defensive or anything like that. But personally, I felt sobrang unfair yung nangyari because there was really a character assassination, rage baiting attempt by you know who. And in fact, this was something bigger. Napansin ko, bati nga sila Kim Chu, Nadine Lustre, anyone who supported what ICC is doing in one way or another, they were being attacked. In fact, there's a picture of me with those two great women. And I said, well, I'm in great company, right? And when I saw also General Torre getting persona non grata treatment in some places, I said, well, it looks like I'm also in another great company. So, eto lang masasabi ko sa mga trolls. Thank you for increasing our engagement. Eto lang masasabi ko sa inyo, no matter what insults you throw at me, I'm used to that. Nung time na nasa poder, yung tatay nyo, you have been doing this to me. Now, wala na kayo sa poder. And no matter what insult you're gonna throw at me, misinformation you're gonna throw at me, God knows my intention was good. And God is on our side. Truth is on our side. Facts and data are on our side. And more importantly, I would say morality is on my side, right? What I'm saying is crazy. The level of racist portrayal of Africans to just make joke of the whole sub-Sahara thing, guys, go and educate yourself. As I said, there are many African nations, sub-Saharan African nations, with even higher human development index than even us in sub-Europe, right? Or comparable to us in Benguet, na isa pang sub-Europe country, right? Again, putting that aside, I hope, guys, we stop this culture of being emotional. We stop this culture of being oversensitive. And yes, on my part, I know. Na-touch ako when some people told me very nicely, Richard, alam namin magandang intention mo. Richard, alam namin that was your 12th interview of the day or something and you were exhausted. We can see that in your eye bags, which I still have with a crazy schedule. Pero Richard, ikaw kasi may platform ka eh. And, people of Mindanao care how they're mentioned internationally. So do not reinforce any stereotype, even though you may be correct. So it's better to be kind than to be correct. And with that, I completely agree. So, and that's why I said, I still believe that even though the data backs up what I said, I could have done better in terms of communicating that point. And I could have been more sensitive. So maraming salamat sa lahat ng mga supporters natin who understood where I'm coming from, who believe in our right intentions. And also to the trolls, thank you so much for making us even more, well, I won't say famous or infamous, at least, diba? At least for helping more people to get interested, right, in our vlogs. So actually, nag-explode po yung engagement natin, and that's good. You know why? Because I'm posting right now all of these vlogs about the truths of the drug war, about Duterte's Budol legacy, about other important issue. And I'll tell you what, I am proud as an educator that the Human Development Index was one of the most researched technical terms on Google the other day. And I can single-handedly claim credit for that. Now, yung iba, kung gusto nila gamitin yung mga Sub-Sahara, something like that, for their own tourism tag, make sure lang hindi racist and stereotypical vis-a-vis our African countries and all right? So, having said that, guys, I'm looking forward to our conversation with officials and friends in Mindanao. Looking forward to go back to Mindanao. Maybe not now yet. Medyo mainit-init pa. But I'm looking forward to actually share all of these beautiful videos I've made of my visits to different parts of Mindanao. The latest one was in Siargao, really one of the most beautiful places. So please, you don't have to tell me that Mindanao is beautiful. I've seen its beauty. In fact, every country in the world has its beauty. I've been to Greenland. It's beautiful. I've been to North Korea. I saw its beauty there. Africa has so many beautiful places. So wag rin tayong racist sa ibang countries and thinking tayo lang may mga gandang lugar. But let me also tell you this. I look forward to talking to officials in Mindanao, hopefully once emotions dying down. Not those politicos and trapos, especially mga may plunder cases pa and all, who are weaponizing and using this. No. Dun sa mga totoong tao, yung mga tao talaga na alam nila saan ako galing at saka yung mga tao na hindi oportunista. And I look forward to working with them and use my own little platform and voice, internationally and otherwise, to push for reforms, to help the Bangsamoro move forward in the right direction as it goes towards an election soon, to help not only Mindanao, but Visayas, Luzon, yes, my own city, or my own place, Baguio, for all of us para angat tayo together. Kaya, yeah, and this is important. Abangan nyo our interview with no less than NEDA Secretary Arsenio Balisacan. Pag-usapan natin, what is the Human Development Index? What is importance? What are the economic strategies of the Philippine government to make sure na tuloy-tuloy lang tayo? And remember, as far as Dr. Professor Balisacan is concerned, this is a secretary who also served under President Aquino. So he's as non-partisan, he's as technocratic, and he is as competent as they come. And last time I checked, he's also a marathoner. So I think he has ran across the country. I'm sure also across Mindanao. So he's going to, of course, educate me even more about the beauties of Mindanao that I look forward to see. Bukidnon, my goodness, there's so many beautiful places in Mindanao. The beauty I saw in Marawi, even in spite of the war, the beauty I saw in Davao, the gorgeous Siargao, the amazing Jensan, so many beautiful places, Sultan Kudarat, Basilan, there are so many places, Tawi-Tawi, I want to go. So God willing, inshallah, in this holy month as we speak, may patience prevail. As in Islam, they put it, sabr, patience prevail, and may wisdom prevail. And hopefully comes a day where we can have disagreement even, but sana, hindi ganon. Nabastusan and death threats and all of that. As of this count, I got what, 200 death threats already over the past week and all. Yun lang, medyo nasanay lang tayo unfortunately because of the kind of harassment and all we have had to deal with over the past decade. But importantly, on this show, we're soon going to talk to different secretaries, different experts. Pag-usapan natin development, Mindanao, at paano natin iaangat ang buong Pilipinas. Ayan, nahubulol na ako. So, to a better Philippines, to a beautiful Mindanao, and to rising together. Maraming salamat and looking forward to joining you in my next episode of Pilipinas 360 Degrees. And yes, kasama din dyan ang beautiful and increasingly prosperous Mindanao. Salamat.